My name is Abisola Badijo. I grew up in Festac Town, Lagos, Nigeria, and went to school there, to a private school. And we were the pioneers of that primary school. So we were the first graduating set. So that was really fun.
My name is Renes BBY Lofano, and I was born in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, in the center of the Caribbean. My earliest memory is from when I was a child in Haiti. We were the first people to live in the neighborhood where I grew up, and there were actually 3 houses only, and my parents was one of them. And over the years, the decades, the neighborhood has expanded a lot.
I went to secondary school at Federal Government College, Ijanike in Lagos. So this was a boarding school. So it was nice to be able to leave the home environment and run off to school so I don't have to wash plates and do all those things that mom and dad asked me to do.
My dad is an electrician, or was an electrician. He's retired now. And my mom is a shopkeeper. I have 5 brothers, 1 sister, and I'm the big boy.
Was English my first language? No, it wasn't. So I spoke Yoruba growing up initially, but knowing Nigeria was colonized by the British. So I won't say the lingua franca. People do say lingua franca official language. So lingua franca is English, and the official language they say is Pidgin, because most people, or is it the other way around? Sorry, the official language is English, but the lingua franca is Pidgin.
No, English is not my first language. It's my 3rd language, actually. My first language was Haitian Creole, which I still speak, and then French, and then came English, followed by a few others.
So I left Lagos when I was 26 years, I think. So that was the first time I was leaving the country.
When I moved to the UK, I ended up straight in Southampton, and I have not left it since.
Absolutely. I arrived in the UK in Southampton, and I've been here ever since. Apart from the fact that we've moved to the outskirts of Southampton now, but we have been here ever since.
My first impression of Southampton, I walked out of the train and picked up by the person who was going to look after me for the first few months. And the first thing I noticed was the fact that I could see basically everything. I could see the sky, but I could not understand what had changed. It took me about 5 days to realize that actually it's because there was no building here. That it's all low houses, so that's why I could see the horizon. I could see so much.
And I would say the reason why I came to the UK was because I came to join my husband. So it wasn't something I intentionally or tried to work my way to do. So my husband came here to study, and after studying he wanted to stay back to do some work experience. So we were already engaged at the time, so a long distance relationship wasn't going to work for us.
The first characteristic of British people that I noticed when I first arrived was the fact that people were not wearing what do you call that, the bowler hat. They were not wearing an umbrella. You know?
I absolutely miss the people. So the community spirit, where we had parties almost every weekend. We had communal clothes, they call ashoebi in my Nigerian language, where you wear clothes of the same fabric, and then you go to a party, you support one another, you bring food, you dance, you celebrate. So I've missed that. I've missed my friends, but thanks to technology, I get to interact with them on social media and all that.
The element of Haiti I miss the most is the good nature of people, the social life, the laughter of in everyone, the music everywhere. I'm not missing the food because I'm a great cook myself, so I cook Haitian food every day. So
I also miss the weather, definitely. That's something I've not got used to.
My children have strong cultural link with Haiti. They listen a lot to Haitian music via me, but now through their own choice, and they eat Haitian cuisine as well, Haitian food.
We've kept our language going, so I make sure my husband and I, we try to speak Yoruba to each other most of the time. Even when we have to email each other, sometimes maybe at work, we try to do it in Yoruba just to keep it going. And we've introduced it to the kids as well, just to make sure that they can understand. Although they don't speak very much, but they do understand when we speak to them in our Nigerian language.
My children do not speak Creole, but they understand it. They understand it very well. And they had spoken it for some time. So when they were more little, you know, when you're little, you try everything. But now they've grown. They're more into English. They use more English now.
They have been to Nigeria once. So in 2016, we took two of my sons to Nigeria for the first time to see what it was like, the culture, the people, where we lived. So they got to see the affluent parts of Nigeria, which is what they don't often see. They often see poverty or sickness, and so it was important for them to see to have a balanced view of what Nigeria is.
The advantages of having a diverse community in Southampton or anywhere else is it opens people's mind to accept what you're not used to, and to expand your knowledge and to grow as a human being and enjoy life the most possible way.
And we are also part of the Nigerian community in Hampshire here, so we get them involved in the events that they have.
I found, but that may be just me, I found the British more open to others. That may surprise some people, but that's how I felt, and I still feel it today. I must say there are things that I have accomplished in England that I don't think I would have been able to do in France because of prejudice and anything like that.
So a diverse community is very important because it gives a balanced view of the world. It makes people see and appreciate, you know, each other's or one another's culture. You know, different ways of doing things, different ways of thinking. We appreciate the world a lot more and what people value: family, etiquettes, and all that, good manners, and all that. So it's a beautiful place to have. If you have a good community, it's an absolutely beautiful thing to have.
My name is Edyta, and I was born in Poland. What was the name of the place I was born? It's Kołobrzeg. But I was born by the seaside and I can't swim. I've got one sister who is 4 years younger than me, and she still lives in Poland. Been stopped to do it last year, but before that I would try to go to Poland 2-3 times a year. Was English my first language? No, my first language was always Polish. I speak Polish, I speak Russian, I speak English and I speak German. Ja говорю по-русски. Ja mówię po polsku. Ich spreche Deutsch. I speak English. English wasn't the first choice for foreign language to learn, and it was only when Poland stopped being a communist country where everyone was started learning English and other languages that were quite useful. Did I always want to travel? Yes, and maybe it was more to do with the fact that when I was born and when Poland was a communist country, we were not able to travel. Travel was always something I wanted to do, and the freedom to do it was very important. Was England my first choice? Yes, I wanted to learn English, and I visited England when I was 14. And I loved it, and I thought it was the best way and quickest way to learn, if not to actually go to the country and learn language there. And it was a good choice because it didn't take me long to actually pick up the language, and the only thing is that I stayed. If I arrived to Southampton because I had a friend in here, she married an Englishman and she offered to help me to find the right school. and this was before Poland joined EU, so obviously we had to pay, my parents helped me to pay for the course, and I stayed with my friend, which was a big help and made everything so much easier. My first impression of England when I arrived was that the freedom and the happiness. Everyone seems to be very open-minded, very happy with themselves. This was my first impression, that people just are what they want to be, and they can do whatever they want to do. It's my impression of English people. They were very, or the British people I've met seem to be very traditional, very polite, very open and very welcoming. What elements of my country I miss the most is the family traditions, and the unit of family, which doesn't seem to be the same in here as it is in Poland. In Poland it would be very traditional to spend weekends with your family and doing things, going to church, going for a walk, having dinner together, but it's not exactly the same for most of the English people I've met. I try to raise my daughter the same way I was raised, and I try teach her all about Poland, about Polish culture, about Polish traditions. We do a mixture now, because obviously we live in England, and she goes to nursery and she's got friends, English friends, who celebrate things a little bit different, but so we do mix them, but the main traditional celebrations we try to keep very, very Polish.
My name is Dennis Deepchandratan, and where am I from? That's a good question, but I was born in the Fiji Islands, Lautoka, Fiji Islands. It's a small town about 150 kilometers from the capital, Suva.
My name is Aisha, and I was born in South Africa. I was born in a city called East London in the Eastern Cape.
Lautoka would be the second largest place of habitation, about the size of Eastleigh.
So my earliest memory of East London would probably be going on holiday with my family, camping at the seaside for the whole month, and just enjoying seeing Christmas and the New Year through outside.
Yes, I'm one of 8. I'm the youngest of 8. Sadly, there are only 3 of us left now.
I have siblings. I am one of 5. I am the youngest of 5.
Both English and Hindi was spoken at home, but at school we spoke English.
I speak Afrikaans to all my siblings and most of my friends. And I would probably say I still think in Afrikaans too.
At the time in Fiji, when I was growing up in Fiji, I don't think I thought much about travel. I was quite happy where I was.
I mean, we're more outspoken and more, as South African people, you know, what you see is what you get, really. And I think where British people are more likely to save their opinions to themselves, or not necessarily say exactly what they're feeling or what they're thinking, I would say. So that's the one thing I noticed a lot more, yeah.
1967, I was coming up to be 13 years of age, and it's a complicated story, but I came over with my mother and my brother and we came to Southampton and settled here. We came to join a sister who had been here for a number of years, who had come over to study and had decided to stay behind.
So I left South Africa in 2006. I just finished school, and the plan was to come and work for a year and then go back to South Africa and study.
My impression of the UK. We came in April, the 3rd of April as I recall, and it was extremely cold. We didn't have adequate clothing.
The memory of my first day was, why does it have to be so cold?
First day at school in the UK. Yes, it was good. People were very welcoming.
But I think I was also very excited, you know, and just thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder what it's going to be like, because you have all these hopes and expectations, and
It was a gap of about a month from the time I left Fiji, school in Fiji, to the time I started school here. So it was a slick transition because we had the same curriculum after all.
I had friends who lived in the UK, so they sort of invited me over. So it made sense to come to the UK.
The elements of Fiji that I missed most, I've got to say the weather. I've got to mention the weather. So we came in April, and when summer came, it was glorious, of course. It lasted a few months, but the weather, the people, my family, some of whom I never got to see again, because sadly they passed away. And it was a long time before I returned back to Fiji, some 34 years later.
What elements in East London do I miss the most in South Africa? I would say community, informal pop-ins. You don't have to arrange to meet up with someone. They just knock on your door and, come for a cup of coffee, and you hear kids playing in the streets all the time. And I think that's what I miss, having people all the time around you, eating with people and laughter. Oh, I do miss laughing all the time. We always laughed.
If you ask that question to almost everyone, food will be the thing that would come to mind.
The parts of my culture I think I have maintained in the UK, definitely the food. Very important. Music is also a big part of the South African culture, and dancing.
So yes, we retain food, and we're lucky to get all the things that we need to replicate the cuisine that we had in Fiji, although there are some things that are not so readily available.
So English is not my first language. It is my second language. So I speak 3 languages. My first is Afrikaans, my second is English, and my third is Xhosa. So my mum is Xhosa, but I grew up speaking Afrikaans, which is my first language. My children don't speak Afrikaans. Weirdly enough, I've been trying to teach my kids my third language, which is Xhosa.
They're very, very interested in my background, and when I come to think of it, I tell them little fragments of my past.
When everyone thinks about Xhosa, there's a common phrase or a line from a song that pops into their mind, which is called Igqirha lendlela nguqongqothwane sebeqabele gqithapha hayi nguqongqothwane.
When I returned back for the first time 34 years later, they came with me.
My kids have cultural links to my heritage, especially the food, because it is such a big part of our culture, but also the music, I would say. And I do try and keep them inform them or educate them a lot about where I'm from and, what we do and how we do things. So yeah, there are connections there.
What do I see as advantages of a diverse community? Humanity, where there's so much to learn, there's so much to share. And really, when you break it all down, our story becomes the same. It's the one story told with different voices, but it's the one story from beginning to the end.
The advantages of a diverse community, one main one would probably be that would reduce prejudices, I would say, and people would embrace each other a lot more.
Beta socho sab koi ke tumha palwar hai. In other words, think of everyone as your family. Beta sabke socho tumha palwar hai. That's Hindi.
Bantu betu base England. Sukoyi kuthetha ingqondo yakho. Khululeka. Wonderful people in England. Be free to say what you feel and speak from your heart.